You got to.
Americans are great innovators. We have a great history of invention. And the forward pass fits nicely into that tradition.
If it wasn't for the forward pass, football would be such a different game. I can't even relate to how I would feel about it.
Where's Ricky Sanders?
Other countries don't do this. We Americans, we're all about freedom and liberty.
Now throws it deep downfield. Tyree who makes the catch.
And nobody can throw it like an American.
Oh, boy, that is some movie, and it airs today. You got to see it. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Joining us now is Neil Zender, supervising producer and director for NFL Films, and we're talking about football life, the forward pass. Hello, Neil. How are you?
Hi, Steve. Great to be with you.
Great to be with you. You know, Steve Sable was a frequent guest on a show that I did over at WABC. I produced it and did my own version of it with Art Rush Jr. and wonderful man, and just always great to talk to him. And I know he'd be very proud of this movie. You know, I saw you on somewhere, and I said, book him. I got to get Neil on because this is so profound. People don't realize that so many years ago, football was on its way out as a sport because people were getting killed playing it, and it was a president of the United States who saved it, and it was the forward pass that was instrumental. The whole thing to me is amazing.
That's right, Steve. 1905 was a very important year for football. That year, 18 people died playing football, and a whole movement sprung up to ban the game. And colleges across the country were shutting down their football programs. It was a big part of the progressive movement. The progressives did a lot of good things for America, you know, getting rid of child labor and stuff like that. But they also had some ideas that were kind of wacky, like abolishing alcohol and abolishing football. And when Teddy Roosevelt heard about this, he went nuts because he thought football was so important for America to develop the character of young boys, and he did everything he could and used all the powers of the presidency at his disposal to save the game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was that I had no idea about that. So when I heard that, I mean, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And then, of course, football back then was basically running. I mean, you ran, you needed 5 yards for a first down, so you just gave someone the ball. They ran straight up the middle, and you know, the equipment was lacking compared to today, of course, and people got hurt, really hurt. As you mentioned, so many got killed in that one year. And then came the forward pass and the revolution of the game, 10 yards, first down, the whole thing. Tell us how that happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big thesis of our documentary is America as a country of inventions. You know, from the cotton gin and the light bulb and the Wright brothers to the iPod, and we should recognize that the forward pass is one of those great inventions for our country. For centuries, everybody else around the world played rugby, and only America dreamed up the idea that, wait a minute, you don't just have to run the ball or kick the ball, you can throw it. And the forward pass didn't just make football safer and cut down on these horrific injuries. The forward pass made it more fun. I mean, the type of innovative offensive thinking before the forward pass at the turn of the century, the best way to gain yardage and to gain territory was to give the ball to the other team. It was the quick kick, and that's what most teams did. The 1902 Rose Bowl, Michigan won the game 49-0. It was a stunning offensive performance. They punted 21 times. There's a coach at Princeton named Bill Roper, who was considered a remarkable offensive innovator because he came up with this idea: when a defensive player recovers a fumble, he's going to break with tradition and try to return it instead of just falling. And that was the best way to gain yardage because all it was just dive up the middle, dive up the middle, dive up the middle.
Now was the pass was the pass prohibited or just wasn't ever thought of?
Nobody really thought of it because everybody said, let's just play this game rugby like the way old Europe and the rest of the world plays it. And there were some radical people that said, well, why don't we allow people to throw it? Why don't we try this? And the people who ran football wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. And then when football just got in this horrible PR trouble with all these players dying, Teddy Roosevelt loved football and wanted to save it. He said, well, you got to do something radical that will get the public's attention. And the most radical thing out there was this forward pass. So he kept pushing for it and pushing for it. He wrote letters to Walter Camp, who basically ran football.
That's amazing.
And Walter Camp wanted nothing to do with it. So one of the things that TR did, it's in a great book by John Miller, The Big Scrum, How Teddy Roosevelt Saved Football.
Yep.
One of the things he discovered was that Teddy Roosevelt sort of used politics, the guy who did all of Walter Camp's dirty work and was officially the chairman of the Rules Committee, even though Camp ran it. Now, Daschle was a professor at the Naval Academy. He's Camp's guy. He's adamantly opposed to the forward pass, but he wants a promotion. In those days, if you wanted to get a promotion at the Naval Academy, you needed the President of the United States to sign off on it. So Roosevelt basically writes back to him and says, "Gall, I'd really love to give you a promotion. But in a completely unrelated matter, it sure would be neat if you pushed for reform on the Rules Committee, and it'd be great if you pushed for this forward pass thing."
That is amazing.
And then he flipped Daschle and sort of took the committee out from underneath Walter Camp.
Neil, I know this aired yesterday for the first time. Tell us where and when it's airing today.
There's an encore today, actually right at 4 o'clock on NFL Network. You can watch it there.
Okay, and I'm sure it'll be available online at NFL Films, and eventually you'll be able to get it. I really appreciate you coming on. Neil Zender, supervising producer and director for NFL Films. Thank you. Great to talk to you.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Take care. My pleasure. All right, folks, in the next hour, Alan West will join us. Then Charles Hurt will join us. We'll also speak to General Paul Vallely at the top of the next hour.